Whoops, there we go. Okay. Rocco, do you want to introduce the county staff that are present?
Sure, yes. We'll start with the introductions. Um, so, hello, everybody. My name is Rocco Visconti. I am one of the associate planners at Arlington Transit for both our fixed route bus system and STAR paratransit system. And I'm going to just read down the list of names here as they are presented to me. So next we have Josh Drucker.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Josh Drucker. I'm the Transit Technology Manager at Arlington County.
Great. And then we have Paul Mounier.
Good evening. My name is Paul Mounier. I'm the service planner for the ART system.
Great. And then we have Pierre Holloman.
Good evening, everyone. Pierre Holloman. I'm the Chief of Arlington Transit.
Great. And then we also have Sheila Hill.
Good evening. I'm the General Manager of the STAR office.
Great. Thank you. We also have Mary Blyther.
Good evening. I'm Mary Blyther from the Arlington Star Call Center, Customer Service Agent.
Great. We also have Luis Flores. Okay, we'll come back to Luis. We also have a member from SPARE.
Would you introduce yourself, please? Okay.
I'm not sure who because the name is just SPARE
I see.
as a guest.
Okay.
Okay, and that is everyone I can see on our side.
Okay. Okay. Welcome to all the county staff. Welcome to the STAR call center staff and to the SPARE person. So let's do committee introductions. Again, my name is Roseanne Ashby. I'm the chairperson of this subcommittee. Rocco, do you want to call out people's names?
Sure, I'll go down the list as I see them. We have Cynthia Johnson Oliver.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. We have Judy Dixon.
Judy is here, I know.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I think I was muted. Good evening.
Good evening. We have Kent Keyser.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Rocco.
You're welcome. And we have Rebecca Bridges.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, and then is there anyone else from the subcommittee over the phone, perhaps, that I cannot see their name or?
So Daniel, Leslie, and James Mountain are not here, I take it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hopefully they will join us. I thank you, committee members. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. And I hope maybe Daniel and Jim will join us later. But we do have a quorum, so we can continue. I'd like to see, Rocco, are there members of the public on the phone or online?
Yes, there are.
Okay, this is the time for public comment. Please, Rocco, if you want to raise your hand or indicate that you would like to speak, you have 2 or 3 minutes to present your comments. After we get through with public comment, I will take subcommittee comment as well. So let's start with the public.
I would like to make a comment or maybe ask a question.
Okay, sure. That's the number ending in 1316, right?
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead.
Yes. A couple of drivers have opened the door of my building, and this is a private building, and we have a keypad that only the people who have the keypad can open the door, but they force the door, they pull it hard, so the door was open, and they went into the mail room, and I was sitting with another person in the living room, and finally one of them came and said hello. And it was 15 minutes earlier. And I said, "Are you looking for me?" He said, "Yes." And he said, I said, "But you are 15 minutes earlier, so I will be out." But it has happened in 2 occasions. And like I say, it's a private building, and only the people who have the pad can get in. I don't understand why the drivers force the door to come in.
And Edith, just for clarification, is this a we drive you vehicle or is this a you serve?
It was both,
vehicle?
one driver of each.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The first time I did it, the first time was last month, I think, and I made a mistake. I told the driver that. I said, "You're not. What were you looking for?" I said, "You were not supposed to go inside," and I explained why. Now the second time was you serve recently, and I didn't say anything. I didn't tell him anything, but I thought I better bring this to the meeting because it didn't seem to me something that is normally done, especially when it's a private building.
Right, and I guess especially if they're early. But were you aware that they were waiting for you or not?
Yes, but
okay,
I have talked to the star because in some instances they have been 40 minutes earlier, and they let me know. And occasionally they also call me on my phone, and I said I will be there. I talked to the star, and the star told me that I could be there on my time when the pickup time, and even if I was late, is the space of 10 minutes. But I never late. I'm always on time.
Right, and that is the policy. So I'm not
right.
So this needs to be addressed. So
another thing I want to say quickly is that I like the services, you serve, or I call it diamond, the other service. They are very good and all that, but sometimes I don't understand some things. And the you serve drivers told me, when you finish, you can call me and I'll give you my number. So you can call me, I'll pick you up, because they are supposed to pick me up. They drop me off and they are supposed to pick me back up. And I said no, because the policy is that when I'm ready to go, if I'm early, I call Star and Star takes care of that.
That is true.
That's the protocol, correct?
Right, and that may be an issue of training for the U-Serve drivers, but you are correct. As far as I know, Rocco, is that correct? I mean,
yeah, that's correct. Definitely going through the star called dispatch is the correct way to do it.
Right. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Edith. Thank you.
And Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you. So next public comment.
Yes, Jeremy has his hand raised.
Okay, Jeremy, go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, great. So I had called previously in the summer. I think it was the July meeting, if I recall correctly, and my comment had been rather negative because this is my 7th year with STAR. I rely entirely on STAR to get to work. I'm a teacher with Arlington Public Schools, and I travel between schools, and so STAR has been extremely important to me. Had been incredibly important traveling, in relatively narrow windows of time, and so I'd been pretty worried in the summer about, the instability of the rollout of the new app and everything. But I'm calling today just to express my appreciation because whatever problems I was really concerned about have not manifested at all. I think I have not had a single late ride all this school year. And that is considerable because on a work day, I make at least 3 trips occasionally more, but I make at least 3 trips with Star, and I have not had a single, I think, late trip yet this school year. And so
yeah, we appreciate those comments. And I do remember your comments back in the summer, and thank you so much. And I'm glad things are much better. So
sure.
Okay.
I hate to. There was just one slight thing I wanted to add. The only thing I do want to say is just because I've had a couple drivers speak to me. In fact, one of them did ask me to comment about this today, but I've heard a few of the drivers pretty upset recently about pay and hours, instability in hours. And then one of the drivers told me they were upset because I think their holiday pay was cut. I honestly don't know, but they asked me to say that. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, other comments, please. Public comments, because we want to get through them, and then we'll go to the committee. Any other public comment?
Those are the only 2 I saw.
Okay.
Roxanne, since nobody else, I just want to say quickly that I appreciate the service has improved a lot. And, I really appreciate, because I have the same situation. I have to be on time, and I go from place to place, and I haven't had any problems. And I appreciate the services and appreciate the STAR people too.
Right, and I appreciate you're all saying this. We also had some positive comments at our November meeting, so I appreciate that. Okay, committee members, what comments would you all like to offer at this point? Concerns, questions, or whatever?
Roseanne, it's Judy.
Yes, Judy, go ahead.
We had a situation the other day where it was difficult to find. It was the holiday. I guess it was actually yesterday, where it was difficult to find the phone number to call to cancel a ride. When I called the STAR office, it just said, we're closed. It's a holiday, we're closed. And it didn't give any number to call. And I had an old number for Diamond, which when I called it, it said, this number is no longer in service. And I finally emailed Roseanne, I need the new number for Diamond, or we drive you. And she gave it to me, and we called them and got it taken care of. But there should be a way I looked in the user guide, the rider guide. It had the old number for Diamond, the one I had.
Yeah, and one of the things I wanted to point out, because Judy did share this with me, obviously, yesterday, I thought there were arrangements made for the new number to be on the STAR call center recording. In fact, I thought that the calls were to be routed to the We Drive You office when the STAR center is closed. So I am curious about this.
And Roseanne, it's Kent.
Yes,
that
Kent,
in
go
fact
ahead.
was my experience, and I commented on that it worked during our last meeting. But perhaps because it was a holiday, maybe they put a different recording on, or there's a different phone deal.
That's what I'm wondering, if the protocol was somehow different, but that is something that we definitely need to check on. Okay? So
yes, definitely agree.
Yeah, thanks, Rocco. Okay.
I'll jump in there 1 second. All calls on holidays are automatically redirected to the We Drive You call center. Why that didn't happen yesterday, Miss Dixon, I will have to find out. But every holiday, when the call center is closed, calls are automatically redirected to the We Drive You.
It wasn't.
And this was yesterday?
Yes, about 8:30 in the morning.
Okay, but we'll check on that and get back.
We
figure out what
it,
happened there. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
And I tried several times just to make sure.
Okay.
Roseanne, this is Rebecca.
Oh, yes, Rebecca, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I wanted to echo that things from a timeliness perspective do seem to be a little bit better. They're not great, but they're good. um, and I do continue. There are a couple things that though I wanted to point out. I do continue sometimes to have issues with when I'm trying to reserve a ride. It tells me that there isn't anything available in the app. And sometimes when I call the call center, they can somehow get it in, and other times no. But that seems to be a problem, which I don't think should ever happen, because isn't that why we have user? The second thing is I've also heard issues with the hours, and I distinctly remember someone from We Drive You, when I asked the question, say they were not cutting hours. And so that's a little bit interesting and concerning, frankly, because I think you don't want to disincentivize people from staying because they need to pay their bills, right? So, and it's interesting that you're cutting the hours when STAR is the most cost prohibitive paratransit program that I'm aware of. My family of 4 can go all the way to Fort Belvoir for $24 with Empower, or sometimes Uber, and it costs us $32 to go on Star because you charge me for my children and ourselves. So there's 3 of us. There's like one because my husband's also a client, but we can't book our trips together because like we can't have 2 PCAs in a trip. And so we pay for a PCA, or we pay for a child, an adult, which we're paying for 3 people. So if all 4 of us had to pay, it would be $43. And so I just find that curious and disappointing. And frankly, and maybe it's intentional. Maybe you're trying to price people out so that, maybe, who knows? But we don't use it as much anymore because it's cost prohibitive and it's not always on time and it's clunky. So the fact that you're cutting hours while you're raising prices is very concerning to me.
So, Rebecca, just as a point of clarification, cutting whose hours? The driver's hours? I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
The driver's hours are being cut, like they're not being given as many hours anymore.
Okay.
And this is We Drive You. Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
And I've heard it on multiple occasions.
Mm-hmm. So, Rocco, perhaps we can discuss that at some point during the meeting, if that's true, and that is and again, just saying to the subcommittee members, we may want to take up the whole notion of fares at a future date, but this is a concern I've certainly heard from others. Are there other public comments right now?
Roseanne, it's Kent.
Yes, Kent.
I don't know if the school teacher in Arlington County is still on the line, but I was wondering if he was a wheelchair user.
Yes, sir. Yep, I am indeed.
You are? Okay, thank you. And so you're you can't transfer your wheelchair into the trunk or anything, right? You ride in your wheelchair?
Yes, usually it's a solid frame chair, so it doesn't fold up very well. Folds a little bit, but not too much.
Thanks, appreciate it. And then Roseanne, about Rebecca's point,
yeah,
we need to look at the federal regulations about that, because that doesn't seem correct, what she's being charged. And I don't know why 2 PCAs couldn't come. I don't think that's correct at all.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I'm assuming these are the over, the zone 3 trips that she's referring to.
I can tell you what I was told, and then maybe Sheila can jump in. I was told that even though my husband and I are both clients, you cannot book 2 PCAs on the same trip because it doesn't necessarily presume that both of you are clients, right? So, or that wasn't allowed. So I did it in the app once and they were like, oh no, we can't have that. So they cut that off. So, and I'm not trying to scam anyone, okay? But we have 2 adults and 2 children. And he's a client and I'm a client. But I was told that if we wanted to book it this way, that we would have to book 2 separate trips And of course, who knows then if we would go together or not? Like that's not reliable.
Right. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't make sense. No. You're
But we
right.
need to check
We
that
do
out.
a lot of zone. Yeah, we do a lot of zone 3 trips. Though I will tell you, we probably do more than most.
Well, that's fine. But and that should not be an issue. But the saying you can't have 2 PCAs, I don't understand that. With each person should be able to have a PCA. So let's check that out. But Roseanne, I also had an issue.
Yes, go ahead.
I did, Roseanne, file this with Mary at 5 p.m. today. So,
good.
So I did. Yes. Sorry about it being late. But the issue is the spare algorithm in DC, at least, for some reason, is taking me to the back door of the building that I'm trying to get to instead of the front main entrance, which I've checked out prior to my going there, if it's a new destination, to find the accessible entrance. So this happened to me once. I got stuck trying to get through the building. So the next time it happened, I said, no, please drive around the block and take me to the main entrance. They did, worked out well. But then when I got picked up that evening, the algorithm took the new driver to the back door, and he could not, for some reason, comprehend that the main entrance was around the block, around the corner. And I saw him go around several times, looking for me. And I was on the phone with the folks at Star and everywhere else. And so he was 40 minutes late picking me up. And then it was another 40 minutes of him circling the block. So two things. The algorithm needs to be adjusted to go to the main entrance. And 2, drivers need to be made aware of this problem and to use their reason that God gave them when they're not, there's no one at that door, they should go, and that's not the main door, they should go to the main door.
Yeah. We've had issues with that too. Spare thinks my address is next door to my house. So
yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I know this stuff can be corrected, but it's an issue I know with like Uber, the Uber app through Metro Access. But this needs to be looked into, Rocco. So this is one I definitely think needs some follow up.
Roseanne.
Yes, go ahead.
It's Judy. The problem that Rebecca is having is a problem that we've had for years and years and years. This is a very long-standing problem when because my husband is also a client, and we can't book a trip together. I mean, they don't allow it. So I mean, just because she has 2 kids it complicates things, with the PCAs, but the fact that we can't book, all we can do is book 2 trips, and then we can tell them we're going the same place. Can you share us? And sometimes it happens, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
We have had them literally send 2 different cars for us going to the exact same place.
Right. Well,
that's what I fear. That's why we don't book it that way.
I know. We don't like to either, and we don't do it that way too often.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay. This definitely is taking the policy too literally, I think.
This has been true since Star began.
And it defies common sense too. So I'm hoping, Rocco, this is one, and Clinton, that you would look into.
It's wasteful for them.
Not to mention that it costs more money.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Are there other comments from committee members? And
yes.
Yes. Okay. I'm hearing Cynthia. Go ahead, Cynthia.
Okay, hi. This is Cynthia Johnson Oliver. I first want to echo those who said that they've had generally had a good experience with on time and even early drivers for the majority of rides, and that's been the case for me. There were a couple of areas of improvement I wanted to highlight. One is the issue of shared rides. I have had a couple of, pretty awkwardly timed shared rides. I'll just highlight two. In one case, I was on my way from home to somewhere and had just been picked up and was scheduled to be on time or even a little early to my destination when the driver was suddenly given a shared ride for a ride that was for a pickup that was about 30 minutes later. So he would have literally had to go to the other home and sit for a while before picking them up and then drop them off and then take me, which would have made me, possibly over an hour late. And luckily, the driver actually objected, and he was given the okay to go ahead and take me to my destination, but they did not update the system, so he had to use his own device for directions. So that just seemed, a bit awkward. And then the second time, I was actually on my way home from where I was, and so I was not as concerned about timing, but they were 30 minutes late picking me up. They had to drop off someone else, and so I ended up getting home about an hour and a half after my pickup time.
And
So I think,
and yeah, this actually is consistent with what Kent has brought up here a number of times, that a lot of the problems stem from shared rides that aren't logical. They don't make sense. They're not well planned. So have you reported these instances to the STAR call center, Cynthia, or can you do that?
yes,
Because
I can do that.
yeah, I
Yes.
do it. But this is something that needs to be addressed. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to move us along a little bit. I
I, ju-
heard Daniel.
I just
I'm
had two
sorry.
more.
You still have another- Okay,
I
go
just had
ahead.
two more quick points. The
Okay.
second is I'm a wheelchair user, and so I sometimes get the minivans and other times the larger bus. In the larger bus, the wheelchair is tied down in the back. Several of the drivers just do not slow down and take into account that with every bump, I literally feel airborne at times, even when tied down. It's a very bumpy ride. So in the back, as a wheelchair user. So I'm wondering if the training can just take that into account a little bit more. And that's specifically the larger buses, and being tied down in the vet. It's a very, I sometimes arrive with a headache. It's that bumpy. And then lastly, I wanted to echo the comment that someone made about the app. Even today, I'm trying to book rides for Thursday and Friday, and it's telling me that none are available. And so that's just a little concerning as far as, booking rides through the app.
Right. And this is also a comment that we've had many, many times. So again, hopefully we will hear some updates on that app. Thank you, Cynthia. Daniel, did you have comments as well? I thought I heard your voice.
Yeah. Thanks so much. First of all, of course, I want to echo people's compliments and complaints. The things people are saying are very representative of the experiences I've had. I've had for the better and for the worse. So, STAR is doing a lot better than they were a few months ago, but there's definitely some room for improvement. And one of the areas where I think there could be some improvement, before we adopted this new system, I'm not sure how it worked before. It might have been that all the scheduling and rides and share rides were done manually, and now maybe a computer does them all. But as many people have pointed out, sometimes the rides are crazy. Like they just don't make any sense. A woman pointed out that she was picked up for a ride, and then at the last second, a share ride was added on with a pickup in 30 minutes. And in situations like that, it's like you could probably drop off the first person before you have to pick up the share ride. That one just doesn't make any sense. And sometimes in situations like that, when I've called dispatch, they've communicated that they were unable to make a change, whether it was Star or We Drive You. And I mean, I think we just need to communicate. And if this isn't the case, maybe we need to make this the policy. But we need to say, you know, if you are working in dispatch with Star or we Drive You, you are allowed to make a change, to override the computer. I mean, obviously you can't just go crazy, but like sometimes there's a really problematic share ride. And if somebody in dispatch can just manually fix that, undo it or switch it or whatever, that can have a huge improvement. And
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, I don't know about everybody else, but everybody I've ridden with so far, when I say, hey, do you mind a share ride when it's good? Everybody says, yeah, of course. We love doing share rides when it makes sense. We're taxpayers too. We're not, you know, we're not just Star users. We're Arlington County taxpayers. We all want Star to run efficiently. And so I also think, in addition to a dispatcher being able to undo a share ride, I think it's perfectly acceptable if they see an obvious good match for a share ride to make that match, even if the computer doesn't make it. I like a good share ride. I want to save taxpayer money. And this is kind of related to that. But you know, you have the option of placing a pin in the Star app, you know, where your pickup location is or drop off location is. But what it does is it guesses the address. It doesn't use the actual location of that pin. It guesses what the address is that is closest to the location of that pin. If that can be adjusted to the exact position of that pin, that would enable Star users to physically designate with the pin if like which entrance it is, whether it's the corner, the middle entrance, the back entrance. That would allow them to specify that with great precision. So my recommendation would be translate all addresses to specific GPS coordinates. It's definitely a doable solution, although maybe not something that anybody's really thought about yet. But
No,
those are my thoughts.
It is doable, and Uber can do it, and there's no reason why it can't be done here. We've talked a lot, Rocco and Clinton, about some of the concerns that Daniel raised and others have raised. So again, we need to get some responses to these concerns in terms of these shared rides that are not working, and how can we address them, and why can't they be overridden by a human being if they are if they don't make sense. But we need to talk about that. I know we went long on public comment tonight. Can we turn to approval of the meeting notes from November? Does anyone have any comments on the meeting notes or corrections, amendments, whatever? I personally had one very minor comment, and that is where you described how I indicated that folks should hold questions till after the presentation. I believe is how it was worded. I would say after each presentation, not after the presentations, because we're certainly not going to wait till all the presentations are over for questions. So that would be one of my edits, Rocco. It's kind of a technical, grammatical thing.
Okay, I'll make that adjustment.
Thank you. Are there any other comments on the minutes? If not, do I hear a motion to accept them?
So moved.
A second?
A second.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Okay, next item is the update on Star services, and let's hopefully you'll you'll be able to answer some of the questions that have been raised since it's, they're repeated over several, meetings. So, but who's going to be doing that? Is that Rocco or Clinton?
Yeah, so we have a PowerPoint to share. It is a little long, so I will try to go through it as fast as I can to give everyone a chance to share what they need to here. Because we have a lot that we are planning to talk about in this presentation. So this is the January 20th, 2026 Transit Accessibility Subcommittee update. This has transit signal priority for ART, update to STAR services, STAR metrics, and an update on the STAR audit. So the first thing I have in here is the STAR services update section. So the first thing we had on here is that credit and debit payments for STAR via the Arlington STAR app is launching on February 2nd. This is going to require an update from the application. It'll accept MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Discover, as well as Apple and Google Pay. We're going to be doing a marketing rollout as well. We're going to talk more in depth about this as well at the main TAC meeting. So we will definitely get into it in more depth there. But I'm going to go to the next one just for the sake of brevity. Additionally, we are still planning for the STAR application training to occur in the first half of this year. It will be offered in person, and there will be online communications, a frequently asked questions section, and a walkthrough on how to use the app online, so that if you're unable to attend the in-person event, you can also familiarize yourself with it through there. We're going to, again, offer a frequently asked sections question. We're mainly waiting right now for the mobile payment launch on February 2nd, because we want to make sure that is included in our training for how to use the application. And again, in a similar manner, this is going to be marketed to STAR users through rider channels, this subcommittee, and the main Arlington County marketing channels, as to the exact location and date for the training.
Well, excuse me, could I just ask a very simple question? Will this be repeated, or is it just a one-time training? Or do you not? Point.
I don't have an answer at this point.
Okay, thank you.
A big complaint we've heard in the last couple of months is the internal cleanliness of our vehicles. So we've taken some actions recently to try to update that as much as possible. We've updated our internal cleanliness standards across WeDriveU, and WeDriveU has switched to a new contractor for internal cleaning of the vehicles to try to better meet the internal cleanliness standards that we've set. But please continue to report any issues regarding the internal cleanliness if it's noticed going forward. And then the update I have to share here.
I'm sorry. When was the contractor switch made?
I believe 1 month ago.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
A month and a half ago. Finally, the STAR program will be replacing all of the dedicated vehicles in service in the coming months. We've understood that the complaints regarding the age and condition of the vehicles, and we're undergoing a complete replacement of the STAR fleet. These vehicles are currently on their way to the Washington, D.C. region, and some of them have already been delivered. They're going, initial detailing, installation of technology, which includes 24/7 surveillance video to allow for better capturing of customer complaints, as well as a general inspection before they enter service. Specific vehicles are going to be 15 2025 Chrysler Voyagers with a side load ADA ramp, and 2 2025 Ford Transit 350s with a side load ADA lift. These have no mileage and they're completely new vehicles. And on this slide, I have attached 2 photos of these are the vehicles, that some of the vehicles we've received so far. They're currently not branded with the Star logo, but that's part of what the detailing is going to occur on them. But these are some photos of both the Transit and the Voyager, currently in the Washington, D.C. region and are currently being detailed for service. Okay.
And I'm sorry,
Yes.
just a slight clarifying question. So the whole fleet is going to be replaced by what time then? Is my understanding the entire fleet will be replaced? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. It's going to depend on how quickly they get detailed and the technologies installed inside of them.
Okay.
But we're expecting these vehicles to begin rolling out in the next coming months.
Okay.
Okay. This year, all vehicles dedicated to Star service will be replaced with these new ones.
Well, I certainly hope it will eliminate some of the concerns about the bumpy rides, etc. So.
Yes, we agree.
Okay. Go ahead, Rocco.
So I wanted to share an update on Star service metrics. Basically, from December 2024 to December 2025, looking at a couple different service metrics here, showing the outlook of the service over the past year. We've seen an uptick in the on-time percentage from the start of January, which was below 85%, to the start of the contract in December, which was below 85%, to now around 93%. We've seen a drop of the excessively late trips in terms of wait times have dropped from almost 100 trips a month being excessively late down to around about 10 or less. As well, the trips missed by We Drive You has dropped since the issues we've experienced in December 2024, being over 70 at the start, down to again less than 10. Additionally, I wanted to share that the metrics that you had been requested at the last subcommittee meeting, I have updated to up through December as well, regarding ambulatory, non-ambulatory, arrive by, leave at trips, broken out into different data points. That's all included in this PowerPoint, but for the sake of brevity, we're not going to talk about it today, but I will share this data with you after this presentation so you can look at it yourself.
Can I, excuse me, just a brief thing. For those of us who don't see the PowerPoint, I would really appreciate getting this material ahead of the meeting, because there's like no way for me to even ask a question based on not being able to see it. So is there any way we can get these materials in advance? I recognize it's a lot for you to pull together, Rocco. I really do. But,
Yeah, I think that I can
appreciate that you're doing
definitely,
it.
for the next meeting, try to get this as ready as early as possible. I mean, there are some aspects of these presentations that require, collaboration with other people to get implemented, and if that's not ready by the point,
I would,
then I
I
can.
would think even like the Friday prior, because these meetings are Tuesday, in case there's a holiday, right? Like end of day Friday, that gives a little bit of time for people to read, or even the Monday, assuming there isn't a holiday. I mean, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, I
But
can.
What happens otherwise is that our questions are deferred, or they're necessarily deferred to the next meeting, and that's not what we want. But I really, again, I really appreciate your your extra effort on giving us more meaningful metrics.
Yeah, but no, I definitely understand, and I can definitely try to get these with as much advance notice as possible, um, uh, and at least update you on the status of getting them to you before the next meeting. Um, uh, Additionally, we have the metrics um, uh, from October and November on the screen, which are also going to be covered at the main TAC meeting um, today. So I think I'm going to move on to the next section as well because we will cover these at that main TAC meeting, being October and November's STAR metrics. So another thing we had to present today is data on the transit signal priority on Langston Boulevard, and I believe Josh Drucker was going to talk about that.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Rocco. Yep, can you hear the next slide? So we're running a little behind, and this is focused more on art. It does affect STAR, but STAR riders, because STAR riders can ride art, but we'll try to speed this up a little bit because it is not the main focus of tonight. So TSP is transit signal priority. So along Langston Boulevard is our first corridor where we have buses communicating directly with the intersections. So that way the buses that are carrying, could be 10, 20, 30, 40 people at a time can, if they are behind schedule, they can communicate with the intersection to try to get through the intersection a little bit faster, whether that is holding a green light for just a few extra seconds or speeding up a cycle of a red light to turn green just a little bit faster. It's not going to change things so dramatically that anyone would notice on the street because we still account for normal cycle times for the rest of traffic. And it also accounts for pedestrian crossings. But it'll speed it up just a few seconds if the bus is running late. So in December 2025, the on-time performance of the Route 55 improved by 2.3% compared to December 2024. Additionally, last month, the average signal delay was 13 seconds less than the previous 3 months. And so across the Route 55, which is what's in Langston Boulevard, both directions, in outbound and inbound, we count the signal delay is how long buses stopped at a signal rather than stopped at a bus stop or in between. And so that's improved by 13 seconds, which is good. This is all our first time. This is our first transit signal priority in Arlington, so it's a little bit of a not trial, but we're making adjustments as we go. So the changes in percentages are changing as we go. And so now whenever a bus is greater than 0 minutes late, it makes a call. So the next slide, Rocco. And the next slide is going to show, this is the, you can see in each of the columns, I'll do the first line first, ART 55 in the inbound direction, the average signal delay is 4 minutes and 41 seconds. Is the bus sitting at an intersection. This is the time we're trying to reduce. That is 21% of the total time. The average dwell time is time where the bus is stopped at a bus stop is 2 minutes. The average drive time, which is in between, is 15 minutes and 45 seconds. And that's your route total average time. So that first column, average signal delay, that's what we're trying to reduce. The bottom table shows the average of the previous 6 months. We only started collecting this data in the summertime and only had the data more standardized starting, it was September, I believe. So December and the 3 months prior. I didn't read every stat here. I know we're a little behind, so just trying to catch us back up a little bit. The slides are going to be sent out. If you have any questions, please, send us an email, and I'll follow up afterwards. It's pretty cool stuff, and hopefully we get the improvements to get better and better as we optimize the system, and then hopefully we can put it on the other major corridors in Arlington County to improve the on-time performance and the average signal delay for all passengers. That's my presentation. I hope I didn't go too fast, but I want to respect
No.
everyone's time.
No, thank you, Josh. Actually, it is very fascinating, and being a bus rider as well as a STAR user, I appreciate having a little speedier service. So this has a lot of potential. Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
guys.
and then I think we had the update on the audit.
Yes. So finally, as on here as well, as requested in the last meeting, we have an update on the progress of the STAR audit, and I believe Clinton is going to speak to this one.
Okay, thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Just a brief update on where we are with the STAR audit. Next slide, please, Rocco. And I will just go everything that's on the slide verbatim. As of this month, with all of the corrective actions for the 4 findings to address the STAR audit are either completed or currently under development. The following corrective actions have been completed. We Drive You has reimbursed the county for historical overbilling of the STAR services. The monthly spot check inspections of STAR vehicles and service have been completed. The monthly revenue variance analysis and fraud detection, implementation of the spare application to correct mobile scheduling and booking needs. An accident and incident review board meets bi-weekly to quickly address service incidents. And then also the implementation of the contract aligned key performance indicators, KPIs, for the STAR call center. Next slide, please, sir. This next slide covers the corrective actions that are currently under development in this first quarter of calendar year 2026. Currently, we are working through with We Drive You to create amendments to the contract language to better align with program goals and audit requirements. We're expecting to get those amendments over to We Drive You during this month. Looking at the standard operating procedure for inverse review and customer comment responses, we've created the draft of that and just going through that to make sure it meets all of our new standards. Looking at also working on the standardized reconciliation procedures for monthly billing. We had a good session on that during last month with We Drive You. Comprehensive process assessment of STAR to identify internal weaknesses and needs. And also, finally, a checklist to ensure ADA compliance on spot check vehicle inspections. And then our final slide on the STAR audit is that we are looking for feedback from the subcommittee. This is an opportunity we want to come to you all. What we're currently doing as these new vehicles that Rocco spoke about is that we are looking at our ADA compliance checklist, and we're doing a refresh of that checklist to make sure that we are up to date with all ADA standards and all 2026 Federal Transit Administration standards. So this checklist is doing a refresh to ensure ADA compliance on spot checks and vehicle inspection that's currently under development. And what we're looking for you all for is that we'd love to hear from the subcommittee to how we can ensure ADA accessibility is being adhered to when conducting spot checks and vehicle inspections. And what we're asking from this committee by February 5th is just your ideas on what accessibility items should be included on the checklist to ensure full compliance with ADA accessibility across our dedicated fleet. Of course, we have our standard ADA things. We have the checklist that we have already, but we're just looking to see if you all's feedback aligns with what we have when we're comparing what FTA standards and if there's anything that we could possibly need that you all may have a better vantage point on. So if you all,
Clinton,
yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
could I just ask quickly, could we have a copy of the current ADA checklist? Because I don't have it, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Could provide you with what we are currently working with.
If
Absolutely,
you
yes,
would
ma'am.
provide that to all the committee members so that at least they understand what is currently being used. And we will get back to you for sure by February 5th.
Okay, absolutely. And as I said previously, since we're refreshing the fleet and getting brand new vehicles out here, we took this time to go ahead and do a refresh of this ADA compliance checklist just to make sure all of the current vehicles and the new vehicles are in line with our ADA compliance from the federal standpoint and to our contractual standpoint with them. But we will provide you all that so you can see the draft of the refresh so that you can add your ideas there so that we can get this finalized and in place for the new vehicles as they come in.
Okay.
That's the update on the audit. Any questions from the subcommittee members?
Any questions from committee members, subcommittee members?
Roseanne, it's Kent.
Yes.
Who's paying for the new vehicles?
We drive you.
And are all that's the entire fleet? Is the entire fleet wheelchair accessible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, what about the other provider?
Are you asking about user vehicles?
I suspect, yeah. What about
Yes,
those?
the user vehicles as a part of the contract have to be ADA compliant. I have to check our contract to make sure on that. If they are not, then it is WeDrive's responsibility to always provide an ADA accessible vehicle, whether it be WeDrive or UServe.
Okay, but you don't know. That's sort of okay. So
I want to check the contract just to make sure that exact language, but an ADA accessible vehicle is always available.
On the audit, is the 2-hour standard being addressed?
Which 2-hour standard is that?
Well, the only 2-hour standard that I know of, that a trip is in compliance if it's less than 2 hours.
That is not a part of the audit, no, sir.
Well, it may not be part of the audit, but it's part of the standards. Why can that not be addressed?
As a part of the audit, that was not one of the findings, and that was not one of the areas of review during the audit.
Well, service was, right? And on-time delivery and all that jazz. So doesn't that go to the heart of the 2-hour standard?
When you're saying the 2-hour standard, the 2-hour wait time or the 2-hour excessive ride time?
Right, the 2-hour excessive ride time.
Excessive ride.
Yes, that was not part of. I think we were
looking. Go ahead, Clinton. I'm sorry.
Yes, that was not part of the audit as a part of the review. So.
Well,
but I do. I do remember. Yeah, I mean, I do remember us discussing this, I think in July, specifically when we talked about that as if you guys are in there making other contractual changes to how they bill, how they do this, that should be something that is looked at. But obviously, maybe not in the specific context of this audit because it wasn't spelled out directly. But I think that is something that needs to be looked at while you're while you're in there looking at the contract.
I'm going to pull up that exact language right now. Give me one moment. But that's all I have specifically on the audit, and I'll pull up that language right now. Are there any other questions outside of that one regarding the audits?
Yes, on the training of the drivers or whatever the training is. Are we going to record the session and then have it available on the website?
For the application training, yes, we'll record it. There will be
Okay,
online
good.
training available that'll be recorded.
Good. Yeah, that was one of our suggestions and when we gave you all those comments a couple weeks ago.
So you have the 2-hour language?
Yeah, so looking at the contract, there is a liquidated damage for each ride lasting 2 hours in duration, with the exception of rides provided during local weather emergencies or other special exceptions, which must be approved by the county in response to a written request.
Right. So how do we make the 2-hour window more realistic?
What is this committee's recommendation?
Well, I thought we never had a 2-hour window, to be honest with you. I'm trying to remember, Kent, and you might have a better memory than me. I always thought it was 90 minutes, which to me is still very long.
I did too.
But, but I don't have the wording in front of me right now.
Right. I mean, if you look at the FTA regs, you generally get 90 minutes. It adds up to 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But I don't know where the 2 hours came from.
I don't either. And we've discussed this in prior meetings. So I don't know where it came from either.
Yeah, I mean, that's not in compliance then. So that needs to be adjusted if it is 90 minutes. If the standard is 90, then that should just be changed, right? And accounted for.
It should be, since they're in the midst of, adjusting things anyway. This is a good time to do it.
Yeah,
Clinton.
I would ask that to send us the language that you're looking at, because this provides a liquidated damage for the county to deduct on the contractor's bill for any ride that lasts longer than 2 hours in duration. So
right.
So it doesn't start.
Right, but that's longer than what it should be. That's what we're saying. It should be 90.
I mean, Clinton, you're intimately familiar with Arlington County. I mean, to ride around Arlington County for 2 hours is pretty absurd. To ride around Arlington County for an hour and a half is pretty absurd.
Well, I would ask if you all would send us your recommendation while we're doing this, so we can go ahead and send this over to We Drive You for their review and their discussion as well.
Okay,
well,
we can do that.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kent. I just want to make the comment, though, that this is a policy that it seems to me the county needs to enforce. It's not about whether We Drive You can do this or not. It's about does this contract comply with policy? That's my concern. I'm sorry, Kent.
So we need to pull the language that we're looking at for the shorter time and share it with the recommended language to be included in the contract. Is that what you're looking for, Clinton?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Kent, does that satisfy for the moment?
Yeah, but what I was going to say was we have to meet again then to discuss this as a subcommittee. So we'll have to do that before the 5th.
And how are we going to do that since we can't meet? That's the crazy thing with the public meeting.
Right.
Well, can a couple of, I mean, can a couple have smaller groups and then circulate it back to the larger. I mean, that's the only way to get anything done. Otherwise, what's the
Yes.
point of even doing any of this?
Right. So I wonder if Rebecca, since you're very familiar with contracting, and Kent, if you all could work together and share something with the rest of us. Does that make sense? Would that work?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
That's fine. And I wouldn't call myself an expert in contracting, but I've done a few.
You've done a few. You've done a few. Okay.
I have.
That works, I think. Okay.
Kent knows more about the regs, though. So, okay.
So Clinton, we'll get back to you on that.
Thank you very much. That would be extremely helpful.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Anything else for the good of the group?
Is this the end of the agenda, or is this?
I think it's the end of the agenda, and I don't know what time it is. So, do you have a?
It's after 6, but no, I just had a question. How do we get answers to some of the questions we've been asking? Like, I mean, do we have to wait 3 more months to do that? Or are there any questions that were documented here or comments that anyone is prepared to respond to while we're still here? You know, we talked about the hours cutting, which we drive you. I don't know if you're still denying that or not, but.
And we talked about the override capability that somebody in the STAR call center could override. That to me is something that has been brought up a number of times.
And possibly the fares at some point too, yeah.
Yeah, well, the fares are something maybe we as a committee need to have as an agenda item and discuss it. But I think, you know, Rebecca's asking a legitimate question. I mean, we need to get an answer to this override thing, and to some of when we have comments from the public and from the subcommittee, at some point we expect answers. We don't expect them necessarily that very same night, but we do expect answers. So you need to tell us, Clinton and Rocco, what is reasonable.
Yeah, I think that what is definitely reasonable is that we can get you answers earlier than before. Yes, Pierre. I think Pierre wants to speak.
Yeah, just a point of clarification for typically if this with the TAC itself. Normally, if there are questions that come up, the questions can be addressed directly from the committee via email to the liaison. So in this case, it'll be Rocco. So if you have questions, those can be emailed, and then a response will be sent and shared with the rest of the committee. And that response would be recapped at the following subcommittee meeting. So if you want an immediate response for the committee members to get out, send an email directly to Rocco with the questions. Responses will be provided, and that will be shared with this subcommittee publicly at the next subcommittee meeting.
Okay, but
can you go ahead and respond to the questions that were already raised here, like in an email to the subcommittee?
In other words, this is a public comment session that we just held. Can those very questions be responded to? Or do we have to submit them in writing? I'm not sure what you're saying.
Oh, just to clarify, typically for these types of meetings, if it was for the TAC, those are not responded to during those meetings because staff in some cases didn't have time to prepare the response. I'm not sure.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But can they be responded to either in between the meetings or at the very latest at the next meeting?
Yes, they could respond to between the meetings. Like I mentioned, if the questions are coming from the committee based on public comment, the email will just be sent to Rocco and a response will be submitted before the next meeting. So the responses can be shared among the committee members. But in terms of the public, if someone has a specific question and they're looking for a response, they can always just email you, Roseanne, to get to Rocco, or you can reach out to Rocco directly.
Right.
So maybe just for a paper trail, we can compile these questions that we have here.
Let's do that.
And then we can get that over to the to Rocco so that there's a paper trail and then we
Yeah.
can respond directly in the thread there.
All right, so why don't you all, I'm happy to aggregate the questions. I think I know some of them already, but if you all can get me questions by the end of this week, by Friday, CLB, that makes sense, I will turn it around and send Rocco an email next Monday.
Sounds great.
Is that okay, committee members? Okay. All right. That's good. Thank you so much. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Second. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All right. Thank you, Cynthia. All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.